Okay, so here are 3 tips from Pilot Training Solutions to help you pass the test. First of all, make sure you fully understand the question before even reading the answers. Let me explain. For example, a question says, during your pre-flight planning for an IFR flight in an airplane, you determined that the first airport of intended landing has no instrument approach procedure prescribed in 14 CFR Part 97. The weather forecast for 1 hour before through 1 hour after the estimated time of arrival is 3,000 feet scattered with 5 miles visibility. To meet the fuel requirements for this flight, you must be able to fly to the first airport of intended landing, and here are the 3 answers. If you read the question quickly, you will lose the most important part of the question itself and jump immediately to the distractor, which is 3,000 feet scattered and 5 miles visibility. This would require no alternate, so A would be the correct answer. But reading the question thoroughly would reveal you determine the airport of intended landing has no instrument approach. The regulations, although not clearly, dictate that if you file to an airport without an instrument approach procedure, you are also required to file an alternate, making C your correct answer. Let me give you another example. This question says, refer to figure 40 for planning purposes. What is the highest usable altitude for an IFR flight on Victor 16 between the BGS VORTAC and ABI VORTAC? And the answers are 6,500 feet, 18,000 feet, 17,000 feet. By reading the question, we can see that we are planning. So IFR altitudes rules apply. And the distractor here is maximum altitude. Is there an MAA on this figure? I don't see a maximum authorized figure, so that's just a distractor to make you think more, but you're losing the point. The flight from BGS to ABI gives you an eastbound heading. The answer has to be 17,000 feet, because it's the only IFR altitude for an eastbound heading. 6,500 feet is a VFR altitude, and 18,000 feet is a westbound altitude. So, by spending the extra 20 seconds on the question, you will make the answer much more accurate and easier. Tip number 2. Mark and skip the questions that are too complicated or that you are unfamiliar with. Let me give you another example. Refer to the FD excerpt below, use the wind entry closest to the flight planned altitude, and determine the time to be entered in block 10 of the flight plan. Route of flight figures 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 for the law, blah, 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 and they give you those 3 answers, 1 hour and 10, 1 hour and 20, 1 hour and 15. I mean, just think of all the figures you need to look up to answer this question. I assure you that by the time you looked at the 3rd figure, you have already gone nuts and given up. Not to mention, you probably already wasted 10-15 minutes of your time. Except the fact that for all these questions, we actually have a simple trick that will show you how to avoid all the calculations, but for that, you'll need our full software. The answer is 1 hour and 20 minutes, because it's the closest to 1 hour and a half. We have a series of tricks, obviously, to help you pass the written, and this is one of them. And by the way, not all of them are the closest to 1 hour and a half, so don't take that for granted. There's a trick within the trick. In any case, mark this question and skip to the next one. The most important reason to do this is your concentration level. As you progress with the test, your focus becomes less and less. So answer all the questions you know the answer to, and avoid wasting all of your brain power on a hard question to then fall on the easy ones because your brain is tired. 3rd tip, eliminate one of the answers. Sometimes it's actually better to eliminate the wrong answers instead of trying to figure out the correct one. And in most cases, at least one answer can be eliminated right off the bat. Let me give you an example. An aircraft operator under 14 CFR Part 91 IFR is required to have which of the following? A gyroscopic direction indicator, your heading indicator. B, a radar altimeter. C, dual VOR system. Now let me ask you a couple of questions. Do you have a radar altimeter in your airplane? One that reads ground elevation, your elevation from the ground? Probably not. Do you or your instructor file IFR flight plans at times on that airplane? Probably so. So there you go. Answer B, a radar altimeter, is gone. And now you have a 50% chance of getting the answer right instead of only 33%. And as I said, often you can actually eliminate 2 stupid answers and be left with only one good one, which you might not know to be correct, but given the other two make no sense, it has to be correct. Now, if you think these 3 tips will help you pass the test, imagine what 12 hours of tips, tricks, and know-hows on all of the aviation topics can do to improve your test scores. Visit PassFAExams.com and find out.